Let's go to work. I'm kind of pissed, a little bit, I don't know, disheartened, I guess, regarding what's been going on over the last couple of days. So, when I read that Trump's response to the gas attack in Syria was to launch dozens of Tomahawk missiles, I did like a, you know, the Jean-Luc Picard face palm. Like, what are you doing? I'm inclined to believe Ron Paul. I know that sounds silly, but I think this has all the earmarks of a false flag attack. It doesn't make sense for Assad to have gassed his own people. He was winning the civil war, or the revolutionary, or whatever you want to call it, the civil war in Syria. Trump comes out and says, you know, I don't think there's any chance that Assad is leaving anytime soon. So why would Assad then say, oh, okay, now I'll bomb some people with nerve gas? It's just a little too convenient, you know what I mean? And now, after it's happened, who comes out of the woodwork and is now in favor of the action? Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, ISIS. The mainstream media, of course, has stopped attacking Trump on Russiagate because, well, clearly he's not in cahoots with Russia, or he wouldn't have attacked Syria's airfield. But of course, if they've got to let this little detail in saying, oh, but he did warn, there was a warning to Russian officials that the attack was coming so they could get their troops out of the way. And so they'll chomp on that for a while and say, see, he's still colluding with Russia. I don't know, it's stupid, I think. And when you add to the fact that Bannon is no longer on the NSC, I'm worried that the neocons and the establishment Republicans have way too much of Trump's ear. I don't know. They say, well, he used him before. He used him in 2011 or 2013 or whatever. That has also the earmarks of a false flag attack. As a matter of fact, the UN came out and said, no, this wasn't done by Syrian government. This was done by rebels. Now, I read briefly that Russia's statement was that there was a Syrian airstrike on a rebel-held munitions depot that caused gas to leak, nerve agents that was in this weapons depot that the rebels had, not Assad, but the rebels had, and because that munitions depot was destroyed, the nerve agents were released, and that's how people became affected by it, or contaminated by it, killed by it. And then I'm reading or hearing reports that people I'm hearing comments and reading comments that the people who were, you know, saving the people in the aftermath, they were there, they didn't have gloves on, they didn't have masks on, they're helping these people out of the rubble or whatever, which doesn't make sense if they'd be exposed to it as well, and they'd be suffering the same symptoms if they were in close contact with those chemical weapons. with those people who've been affected by those chemical weapons, the notion is that they would also be affected. So that doesn't really hold much water. I don't know the full details on that. I'm not credulous enough to believe that it necessarily was a false flag attack in order to get America more involved against Assad. But I'm not unconvinced of it either. It just doesn't make much sense to me. And I'm worried that, you know, up until now, everything he's been saying I've been on board with regards to foreign policy, with regards to military intervention. And now he's become way more hawkish. You know, the bluster about if China doesn't handle North Korea, then the US will. Now, in his defense on that, North Korea has been very bold, you know, in their statements regarding having an ICBM that can hit North America. That they plan to have one, I think, by the end of 2017. So Trump comes out and says, you know, China, deal with this problem or we will. To which China responds, we will defend ourselves, so don't fuck with us. I don't know. I hope this de-escalates. I hope this missile strike on the airfield is where it ends. Now, part of me would like to think, and this might just be fantasizing here, that it's another 4D chess maneuver by Trump, right? By doing this strike on the Syrian airstrip, which I think 7 people died, 7 military personnel died in the Syrian army, and the Syrian forces, which is, you know, a fraction of the 70 that died from the gas attack, the alleged gas attack. It could be a 4D chess move on the part of Trump. So what does this do? It takes the attention off of the whole Russia collusion nonsense. It takes the attention off of the whole, you know, Bannon stepping down, or stepping out of the National Security Council. Not that that's a huge deal. I mean, the fact is he's still got top-level security clearance. And it makes it look as though, you know, Trump is stronger as a leader in terms of his willingness to use a military response than his predecessor Obama, and that's more or less true, right? Anyway, and if this de-escalates things, if this thing makes sort of, I don't know, if this brings about a tense calm in Syria and between Russia and the United States, then maybe it'll be good. I can't help but think, though, it's going to be bad. I can't help but think that this is only going to force Putin to have a more unyielding stance. The guy doesn't fucking blink, man. You know? I don't know that it's smart to pick a fight with Putin. He doesn't fucking blink. So, anyway, we'll see. Tillerson is meeting with Moscow, I think this coming week. We'll see how that goes. Part of me also thinks that it might all just be kabuki theater. I'm not saying that a gas attack didn't happen. I'm not saying that people didn't die. it's all coordinated to propagandize a specific narrative. Oh, sorry, that was really loud. And to propagandize a certain course of action by the United States. There's a video out there by Sandra Blevin, I think that's her name, Sandra Blevin or Sarah Blevin, where she talks about following the money, where she makes a statement that every conflict the United States has been in the last 50 years has been against countries that wanted to go against the international centralized banking. Assad dropped the US dollar. Gaddafi tried to set up a gold-backed African currency. You know, Iraq as well wanted to do a gold-based currency. And this is the reason that these wars happen at the behest of the international banking community. Again, conspiracy theory? I don't know. I don't know enough about it to comment, but follow the money's not a bad perspective to take when it comes to things like this. In my opinion, I think it's probably wise to look and see who stands to benefit from this action. And it's funny, as I was scraping off my window this morning, my radio kicked in, because I didn't have my Bluetooth on, so my radio automatically kicked in. And it was AM radio, and it was talking about how stocks in the company who manufactures Tomahawk missiles just went up. Price of oil's gone up. So, there's that. Anyway, I wish it hadn't happened. I wish Trump did not do it. I think it was a bonehead move. But who knows? That's my initial gut reaction. I don't want to see conflict in the world. And I don't want Trump to turn out to be just another schmuck in the White House who's beholden to neocons and beholden to the establishment. The populists, the MAGA people like Bannon, Flynn, and even Conway, you know, those people are sort of like Trump's main campaign supporters. And a Rebel commentator was talking about how the left want to get rid of Bannon, Flynn, and Conway at all costs, and they've already gotten rid of Flynn, and Bannon has just been moved from the National Security Council. He stepped down from the National Security Council. I don't know that he's going anywhere, but apparently there's infighting. This is the report, that there's infighting in the White House between Jared Kushner and Bannon, and it's kind of a prickly relationship between the two. Kushner, as I understand, is a Democrat. So I hope that Bannon doesn't get elbowed out. I hope that all of Trump's campaign rhetoric wasn't just rhetoric. I hope he genuinely believes that, you know, nationalism is the way to go as opposed to globalism. But unfortunately, Kushner, being a Democrat, and he was the one who filled the cabinet with Goldman Sachs folks, they're all globalists, right? They want to make as much money in the global marketplace as possible. This was basically this, I think his name's Probasek, John Probasek on Rebel Media. Anyway, this was his assessment, and I'm like, but he also made a point that if you read The Art of the Deal, Trump isn't the one to say, okay, Bannon was my guy, now it's going to be Kushner. He's he's one of these guys who constantly plays his relationships against each other and maneuvers the situation to his own end goal. And what's his own end goal? Well, let's hope he wasn't lying to his supporters. You know, when he made those speeches, he seems to love those campaign rallies. I think they're a real boost to his ego. Hopefully that's exactly what he feels, you know, that he wants to help America be great again. Anyway, I recommend you read the John Probesek, I think that's his name, Rebel video. I'll see if I can find it and link it in the description. But anyway, it's been a while since I made a video, and sorry for that. Yeah, hopefully I'll start making some more. That's all I got to say for today. Thanks.